He that is born to be hanged needn't fear water. The people will meet, but the hills and mountains never. No man ever wore a cravat as nice as his own child's arm about his neck. All right, there we go. Sure and begorra, it's St. Patrick. I'm not doing this. It's disrespectful. I'm only half Irish. I've never been to Ireland. It's St. Patrick's Day this week, and we finally watched some films that seemed aligned with the calendar. So I wanted to pay homage to the cartoon Saloon and their Irish Folklore Trilogy, which is a series of animated features. All of them were nominated for Best Animated Feature in their respective years. None of them won, so maybe you haven't heard of them. All of them grounded in Irish folklore, produced in Ireland with a largely Irish team with the love of the material. And what could be better or more fitting for this week? The films, of course, are 2009's The Secret of Kells, 2014's Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers in 2020. And once you watch all three, you start to see some similarities and trends that the creative team obviously found intriguing and important enough to tackle surrounding the topic of growing up, and creating a collection essentially of parables for young people to learn from, or for parents to grab hold of and use as a guide in their role in guiding young people forward in life, often through troubled times. To that end, we see in The Secret of Kells, the young protagonist Brendan is born into a land of some hardship. Norsemen are repeatedly rolling through the countryside and ransacking, even killing his countrymen, and his uncle, the abbot of Kells, is doing a pretty good job of planning to keep them at bay and provide for the survival of the people within the walls that he's building around Kells. But the film asks the question, what is most worth protecting when faced with an existential crisis? And the answer seems to come in the form of Brother Aidan, an artist, an illustrator or illuminator of the holy records and texts of their society, making them as beautiful and rare looking as he can so that they are kept sacred and deserving of survival, because in their pages, even after cities fall and individuals pass away, the ideas of an entire culture can live on, and thus their identity. Live only in fear, only to put up walls, and people survive, but without its art, their stories eventually die out. Young Brendan grapples with the need for survival versus his own calling toward that art. All of these films are emotionally complex and morally complex, if not somewhat ambiguous, and in a good way. Even those filling the shoes of bad guys, what typically would be bad guys anyway, are not bad people. They are merely antagonists, people with their own viewpoints and using their own logic to ultimately do what they think is best for everyone. That takes us up to Song of the Sea, which is a bit more contemporary, depicting life at a lighthouse on a small island off Ireland's coast, with another young boy and his sister Saoirse. As Ben is looking forward to becoming a big brother, tragedy strikes and his mother dies giving birth to his sister Saoirse, driving a wedge between these siblings from the very beginning. Now Saoirse is also born without a voice and remains unable to speak, complicating their relationship even further. And one night, Saoirse feels a calling to the seaside, where she was born and her mom was lost. And she winds up swimming with the seals out there, seemingly almost drowning. So Grandma takes the kids to the mainland for a fresh start, and their adventure begins when the kids struggle to get home to the lighthouse, and finding their connection and Saoirse's voice along the way. Quite a nice lesson about familial love and support, and a sort of immortality that we gain from that family connection, as Saoirse is revealed to be a Selkie, a sea spirit, just as her mother was. Again, the parental figures here are imperfect, profoundly imperfect, mostly the dad, and as well-meaning as he does hard things out of love. And we start to gain empathy for these characters who, in their way, just want to protect their kids, occasionally from themselves. And then we have 2020's Wolfwalkers, sort of the icing on the cake for these same themes. This time in a 17th century Irish village, again with a giant wall going up around it, this time to keep wolves out who are devastating the farmlands outside and threatening the survival of the people settling the land. A young girl, Robin Goodfellow, is with her father, who's a hunter hired to kill all the wolves. So when Robin becomes a wolf by night herself, aka a wolfwalker, and befriends the daughter of the Wolfwalker Queen, as it were, Well, that's a bit of a problem as far as Dad's job goes, and their entire acceptance in the community goes. Goodfellow just wants to provide for his daughter, especially as a single dad under tremendous pressure, a theme echoed in all three films here, and while under this pressure, these parents occasionally do snap. They do cruel things that are meant to provide for their children and keep them safe. And this is a theme that we'll return to again in another Cartoon Saloon film from 2022, My Father's Dragon, except there the single parent is a mom. None of these films really shy away from the complexity of that need for safety versus how realistic or unrealistic it can seem to urge children to hang on to their dreams or anything that's not practical, tangible, or putting food on the table. Where is that line between risk and safety when it comes to raising your kids? Where is that line between identity and survival? It seems to be a favorite theme of Cartoon Saloon projects, and I say keep them coming. You can't think about these issues too much for my taste, because as parents, ultimately, that's what we spend a hell of a lot of time doing and thinking about. So check out this Oscar-nominated trilogy of films from Irish Folklore this St. Paddy's Day weekend with your kids. They're all enjoyable, sometimes a bit scary, and none of them are mean-spirited or scarring, I don't think. Although, check your ages, and we'll continue our little fascination with Cartoon Saloon animation again very soon. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Making a beginning is a third of the work. A little help is better than a great deal of pity. Everyone is wise till he speaks. 'Tis an empty vessel makes the most noise.